Have you ever felt like you're living in the dark, waking up each day with no energy, no meaning, no reason to keep going? If that's you, then this message is for you. Because you don't have to live in darkness forever, the light has always been waiting for you. There are moments in life when you wake up and the first thought that crosses your mind is not excitement, not joy, but an overwhelming heaviness. You lie in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of responsibilities pressing down on your chest. Work feels like a burden, relationships feel distant, and the routine you once thought was normal life now feels like a prison you cannot escape. Maybe you felt it too, the exhaustion that no amount of sleep seems to cure. The emptiness in your chest when you finish a long day, only to wonder, what is all this for? Why am I even doing this? You go through the motions, emails, meetings, deadlines, bills, chores, yet deep inside, you feel as if you're slowly fading away. It's not that you don't try. You do. You wake up, you show up, you push yourself to keep moving because that's what's expected. Because people are counting on you. Because the world doesn't stop, even when your heart wants to. But with each passing day, the spark inside grows dimmer, and you start to wonder if maybe this is just life, endless pressure, endless noise, endless survival. And here's the part no one talks about, it's lonely. Even when you're surrounded by people, even when you smile and pretend everything is fine, deep down you carry a silence no one else can hear. You don't want to burden others. You don't want to admit how tired you are, how lost you feel. So you keep it all inside, and the silence grows heavier until it feels like you're suffocating in it. Have you noticed how the days blur together? Monday feels the same as Friday, and weekends no longer bring relief. Time moves forward, yet you feel stuck, trapped in the same loop, repeating the same story, waiting for something to change, yet fearing it never will. If you're listening right now and this feels like I'm describing your life, I want you to know, you are not alone. Millions of people are carrying the same invisible weight, silently fighting the same battles. But more importantly, I want you to know this, just because you are in darkness today, it doesn't mean you have to live here forever. Darkness is not a life sentence. It is a chapter. And chapters, no matter how long, eventually end. Today, we are going to walk together through that darkness. Not with empty promises, not with unrealistic slogans, but with honesty, compassion, and the reminder that there is always a way forward. You may not see the light right now, but it is waiting for you. It has always been waiting for you. And before we go further, I want to ask you a question that might stay with you long after this video ends. If tomorrow was a chance to start over, how would you choose to live? Why do so many of us end up here, in this space where life feels heavy, meaningless, and endlessly repetitive? Why does the fire that once drove us slowly burn out until all that remains is a faint ember struggling to survive? The truth is, it doesn't happen all at once. It's not like you wake up one morning and suddenly your life feels empty. It's a slow erosion, like water carving away at stone over years. Little by little, responsibilities pile up. The expectations of others begin to outweigh your own desires. The voice inside you that once dreamed loudly starts to whisper, then grows silent. One of the biggest reasons is the trap of routine. We wake up, go to work, come home, and repeat. At first, routine feels safe, it gives structure, predictability. But over time, it becomes a cage. You start to measure your worth by how many tasks you complete, how many emails you respond to, how many bills you pay on time. And while you're functioning, inside you're shrinking. You lose sight of who you are beyond your roles, the employee, the parent, the partner, the friend. Then there's the weight of expectations. From a young age, society teaches us what success should look like, the career, the salary, the house, the family. And when you reach those milestones, you expect to feel fulfilled. But many people arrive there only to discover emptiness waiting at the top. You check all the boxes, yet the question remains, is this all there is? For some, the problem is constant pressure at work. Long hours, endless deadlines, and the fear of not being enough create a cycle of burnout. You tell yourself, if I just push a little harder, I'll get through this. But this never ends. And slowly, your passion turns into resentment. For others, it's the quiet loneliness that eats away at their spirit. You may have people around you, yet feel invisible. You may scroll through social media, comparing your life to others, convinced that everyone else has it figured out while you're stuck in the shadows. And then there's the loss of meaning. When the things you once cared about, your job, your dreams, even your relationships, no longer ignite the same spark, you begin to drift. Life becomes a series of obligations instead of a journey of purpose. You wake up not to live, but to survive another day. Let's be honest, when you're caught in this place, it feels like you're trapped in a dark tunnel with no exit. You tell yourself, this is just how life is. You stop imagining something better because the idea feels impossible. And the longer you stay there, the more you forget that you even deserve more. Think about it, how many times have you told yourself, I'll start living once things calm down, once I get the promotion, once I have more money, once I fix everything around me. But life never really calms down. There's always another deadline, another bill, another problem. And so you keep postponing your happiness, pushing it further and further away. This is the problem at its core, we've learned to survive, but we've forgotten how to live. And yet, deep inside, you still hear it sometimes, the faint whisper reminding you that this is not all you were meant for. That life, even in its chaos, can be more than just enduring. That you, too, once had dreams that mattered. So here you are, standing in the middle of the darkness, wondering if it will ever end. And maybe the question inside your heart is this: how do I even begin to step out when I can't see the way? The truth is, stepping into the light doesn't start with giant leaps. It doesn't come from overnight transformation or a perfect plan that fixes everything at once. It begins with small, simple steps, often so small that the world doesn't notice, but powerful enough to shift the course of your life. Think about it, darkness convinces you that you're powerless, that you have no choice, that you must stay stuck. But the light reminds you that even the tiniest flame is enough to break the night. So, what are these small steps? The first is permission. Permission to admit that you're tired. Permission to acknowledge that you're not okay. For too long, you've been carrying the mask of strength, pretending that nothing affects you. But healing begins when you whisper to yourself, it's okay to not be okay. This simple honesty can lift a weight from your shoulders and open the door to change. The second is presence. When life feels meaningless, your mind often runs to the past, regretting what's lost, or to the future, fearing what's ahead. But light is always found in the present. Try this: when you feel overwhelmed, pause. Breathe. Notice something real and tangible around you. The warmth of your coffee cup. The sound of the rain outside. The rhythm of your breath. These small anchors remind you that you are still here, alive, capable of experiencing this moment. The third is choice. You may not control everything, but you still have choices, every single day. The choice to take a walk instead of scrolling for hours. The choice to call someone instead of isolating yourself. The choice to write down one thing you're grateful for instead of focusing only on what's missing. These may seem insignificant, but they are the bricks that build a new foundation. Let me remind you, light doesn't demand perfection. It doesn't wait for you to fix every mistake or achieve every goal. It simply asks for movement. Forward, however small. And maybe you're thinking, but what if I fail again? What if I try and nothing changes? That fear is real. But here's the truth, failing while trying to move forward is still progress. Standing still, surrendering to the darkness, that's the only guarantee of nothing changing. You might be surprised to know that many of the most fulfilled people you admire once stood exactly where you are, lost, drained, ready to give up. What changed was not their circumstances overnight, but the moment they decided to take one step differently. Maybe for you, the step is reaching out for help, a counselor, a friend, a mentor. Maybe it's choosing to rest without guilt, allowing your body and mind to recharge. Maybe it's picking up a forgotten dream, giving yourself permission to explore it again. Life doesn't demand that you have it all figured out. It asks only this: keep walking. Even if you can't see the end of the tunnel, take one step. And then another. And then another. Because here's the miracle: you don't have to create the light. The light is already there, waiting. All you have to do is move toward it, slowly, consistently, bravely. And one day, without even realizing it, you'll look back and notice that the darkness is no longer behind you, it's beneath you. Let me tell you a story. Not about someone extraordinary, not about a celebrity or a genius, but about an ordinary person, someone who could easily be you. Her name was Sarah. She was 39 years old, living in a small apartment in the city, working a job she didn't love but couldn't afford to leave. From the outside, her life looked fine. She paid her bills, she showed up to work, she smiled at family gatherings. But behind that surface was a woman who was slowly unraveling. Every morning, she woke up with a pit in her stomach. The alarm clock wasn't just a sound, it was a reminder that another day of pretending was about to begin. She had once dreamed of being an artist, of painting vibrant colors that told stories. But bills needed paying, and responsibility had slowly replaced passion. Years passed, and one day she realized she hadn't touched a paintbrush in over a decade. Sarah often sat by her window at night, staring at the lights of the city, feeling like everyone else was moving forward while she was stuck in place. The loneliness was suffocating. She had friends, but she couldn't bring herself to tell them how lost she felt. After all, what would they think? That she was ungrateful? That she was weak? So she kept it all inside, a quiet storm raging beneath the surface. One night, after another exhausting day at work, Sarah broke down. She sat on her kitchen floor, tears streaming down her face, whispering to herself, "I can't live like this anymore. But I don't know how to change." That night could have been the end of her story. But instead, it became the beginning. Because in her despair, she asked herself one simple question: what is one small thing I can do tomorrow that feels like me? The answer surprised her: paint. So the next day, after work, instead of collapsing into bed, she bought a cheap canvas and a few brushes. She sat at her table, dipped the brush into paint, and began. The strokes were clumsy at first, her hands stiff, her colors uneven. But something inside her stirred. For the first time in years, she felt alive. She didn't suddenly quit her job or transform her entire life. She simply painted for an hour each evening. That was her light. And slowly, the darkness began to lift. Weeks turned into months. Her apartment filled with canvases, small bursts of color in a life that had once felt gray. She shared a few pieces online, and strangers responded with encouragement. One day, a friend asked if she could buy a painting. Sarah laughed at first, thinking it was a joke. But it wasn't. That small moment lit a spark. She started selling a few more pieces, then displaying them at a local cafe. For the first time, she realized her art, the part of her she had buried, still had a place in the world. Did all her problems vanish? No. She still had bills, still had stress, still faced hard days. But she no longer felt trapped. She no longer woke up dreading her existence. She had something that made her feel connected, something that gave meaning beyond the routine. Sarah's story isn't about sudden success or miraculous change. It's about the quiet courage of choosing a single step out of darkness. A brush stroke at a time, she reclaimed her life. And maybe you're not a painter. Maybe for you, it's writing. Or music. Or cooking. Or gardening. Or simply taking a walk outside. Whatever it is, it doesn't have to be grand. It just has to be yours. Because the truth is, light doesn't arrive in one blinding flash. It sneaks in through cracks, through tiny choices that remind you of who you are. And just like Sarah, you can start with one small step. One breath. One moment. And then, slowly but surely, you'll find yourself not just surviving, but living again. So here we are, at the end of this journey together. You've walked through the darkness, you've faced the questions, and you've seen that even in despair, there is always a crack where the light gets in. But I want you to pause for a moment and breathe this in: you are not broken beyond repair. You are not stuck forever. Life is not a sentence you must serve, it is a canvas you can still paint on. The darkness you feel now is not the end of your story, it's just a chapter. And chapters, no matter how heavy, eventually turn. What matters most is that you keep your hand on the page, ready to write what comes next. Remember Sarah's story. She didn't fix her whole life in a day. She didn't erase all her struggles. But she chose to begin. She chose to reach for something that reminded her of who she was. And that single choice grew into a light that guided her forward. What about you? What is the step you can take today, not tomorrow, not someday, but today, that reconnects you to the person you've always been deep down? Maybe it's as simple as a walk, a phone call, a page in your journal, or a prayer whispered in the quiet of your room. Don't underestimate these small acts. They are seeds. And seeds, though tiny, hold forests within them. You may still feel fear. That's okay. Courage has never been the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward despite it. You may still stumble. That's okay too. Falling isn't failure. Staying down is. And when you feel tempted to believe the lie that this is all life will ever be, I want you to remember this: you are not meant to live your life in shadows. You are meant for light. So carry this question with you: if tomorrow were a chance to begin again, how would I choose to live? Don't just ask it once. Ask it every day. Let it guide your choices, let it shape your actions, let it remind you that no matter your age, your mistakes, or your past, you still hold the pen to your story. And as you step into your tomorrow, I want you to hold on to this truth, one you can whisper to yourself whenever the night feels too long. Backhand index pointing right: I am not stuck in the dark. The light has always been waiting for me. Now, take that step. Even if it's small. Even if it's shaky. Because the moment you move toward the light moves toward you.